Good morning and welcome to Enlightened Fitness, where first we use high-intensity bodyweight interval training to cultivate the body of a Tantric Sex God, and then we'll use guided meditation to cultivate both the heart and the mind of a Buddha. So I don't care how rigorously you exercise, if you eat crap food, you'll get crap results. You gotta have a good diet. The diet I recommend most of all on my website is the low-fat, whole-food, plant-based diet. But there's a bunch of books written by qualified physicians describing that diet on my website. And so how do you find that page? That's an excellent question. Right below this video, about 3 inches, you'll find a button that reads Show More. When you click that bad boy, it'll reveal a list of links as long as my arm. One of those links will take you to a whole food plant-based diet, and there's a bunch of books, there's a bunch of videos, some are free obviously, and some you have to buy from Amazon.com. Sorry guys, I can only give my stuff away for free. I can't give other people's stuff away for free. That's theft. A book I really enjoy right now, I'm reading, is Healthy Eating, Healthy World by J. Morris Hicks. And not only does it explore the health ramifications of the low-fat, whole-food, plant-based diet, but also the ecological and ethical implications. So this morning's passage deals with ecology, and we're going to start working away, or digging away, in a chapter entitled The End of Cheap Oil. It begins with a Buddhist proverb that reads, "The frog does not drink up the pond in which he lives." Let's continue. Disaster and tragedy are 2 words that come to mind when you think of the 2010 BP oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. The spill and the associated threat to the nearby coastlines captured news headlines for months, prompting some analysts to worry that this massive spill might send the price of oil through the roof. Why did that not happen? It turns out that even though the spill caused a tremendous amount of environmental and economic damage, the quantity of oil lost was only a drop in the bucket of the world's daily consumption. A few months after the blowout occurred, the U.S. government estimated the total amount of oil that was spilled was between 88 million and 174 million gallons. Even the high end of that range equals just over 4 million barrels of oil at 42 gallons per barrel. A sizable amount, for sure, but less than 5% of the world's daily consumption of oil. That means that after 87 days of non-stop oil spewing, the total amount lost was enough to satisfy only a single hour of the world's thirst for this finite natural resource, a hefty 3.7 billion gallons per day, almost 90 million barrels. The BP spill is significant for 2 reasons. First, the fact that an oil company would dig a well a mile into the ocean floor shows how hard oil companies all over the world are trying to maintain the supply of oil. The supply side of the oil equation worries many experts who point out that the known reserves are declining and will not last forever. But its a continued flow for the next 30 or 40 years is crucial. With more people on the planet and more of them driving cars, it's unlikely that we'll be able to significantly reduce usage for transportation and home heating. Second, the spill illustrates just how wasteful we are about using oil. As Jeff Rubin, author of Why Your World is About to Get a Whole Lot Smaller, points out, even with all the energy-saving devices being introduced, the numbers for fossil fuel consumption keep getting worse, despite the fact that the world is quickly waking up to the problem emissions in the first decade of the millennium are growing 4 times faster than they did in the 1990s. We understand the problem, but we aren't aware of the possible solutions. What does oil have to do with food? Well, everybody knows that oil consumption could be reduced by driving a fuel-efficient car. Very few realize how much energy is required to produce food these days. By simply altering our choices of what we eat, we could make significant savings in oil consumption. Once again, as we found with water in the last chapter, our plant-based calories are far more efficient to produce compared to the calories that are derived from meat and dairy. The production of animal foods for our dinner table is one of the single largest consumers of energy. Jeff Rubin observes, "We may think of farms as rustic Edens of placid cows in bucolic pastures." This guy loves his adjectives. Bucolic pastures and merry chickens pecking away in the barnyard. What? No description of the barnyard? Come on, man, try a little harder. But behind that green facade is one of the most energy-intensive industries in the world. I agree with this guy. I'm just having some fun with English. Large-scale mechanized commercial farming is just a sophisticated way of turning fossil fuels into food. And that doesn't sound very tasty. Julian Cribb, author of The Coming Famine, makes a similar point. Most people haven't a clue how much oil they eat. For a person on a typical Western diet, one estimate is around 4.4 liters, around 1.2 US gallons, of diesel a day, meaning that it takes the distillate from 66 barrels of crude oil just to put their food on the table for a year. A well-off family consisting of 2 parents and 2 children eats, quote unquote, 175 barrels of oil, almost 1 barrel every 2 days. The idea of eating oil is not a particularly pleasant one, but the point is that oil is vital to farming practices. That tractors need fuel is obvious, but other needs are not so apparent. Bill McKibben, a prominent writer on the environment, points them out in his book Deep Economy. It takes half a gallon of oil to produce a bushel of Midwestern hybrid corn. A quarter of it is used to make fertilizer, 35% power farm machinery, 7% to irrigate the field, and the rest to make pesticides, to dry grain, and to perform all the other tasks of industrial farming. That's only to grow the crop, however, he goes on. But farming proper is the least of it. Processing, packaging, and distributing the food around the nation and the world consume 4 times again as much energy. Unless you shop at your local farmer's market, most of the meat you buy, wrapped in plastic and stacked in white bins at the supermarket, is part of a well-oiled system, pun intended. We demand this vast supermarket selection because we have become accustomed to endless variety for our palate. Jeff Rubin points out in 1980, the U.S. imported just over 40% of its fish. By 2005, it imported 70%, and imported frozen lamb chops have gone from 10% of the U.S. market in 1980 to over 40% 25 years later. Nowhere is oil used more than in the business of producing the meat and dairy products we put on our table. Former cattle rancher Howard Lyman drives home his point in Mad Cowboy. Energy is required to control temperatures in the artificial living environments of animals confined to feedlots, to transport feed to animals and to transport their waste away, to manufacture and transport antibiotics and other pharmaceuticals employed in the care of animals in our animal factories. A recent New York Times article also sheds light on this subject, citing the enormous amounts of energy consumed by the farming of livestock around the world. To put the energy-using demand of meat production into easy-to-understand terms, Gordon Eschel, a geophysicist at the Bard Center, and Pamela A. Martin, an assistant professor of geophysics at the University of Chicago, calculated that if Americans were to reduce meat consumption by just 20%, it would be as if we all switched from a standard sedan, a Camry, say, to the ultra-efficient Prius. Similarly, a study last year by the National Institute of Livestock and Grassland Science in Japan estimated that 2.2 pounds of beef was responsible for the equivalent amount of carbon dioxide emitted by the average European car every 155 miles, and burns enough energy to light a 100-watt bulb for nearly 20 days. And that's all you get today. So, normally, my friends, and by the way, those links below the video are great. They'll teach you how to warm up, they'll teach you how to do all the exercises, how to do easier versions of the exercises, more difficult versions of the exercises. They'll teach you how to do yoga, they'll teach you how to cool down. But wait, there's more. They'll also teach you how to sit, how to count your finger creases. You like that? It's a new word I just invented. Your finger creases, and how to meditate. How to meditate to be a happier camper, and how to meditate to become a Buddha. Normally I'd say, hey, if you don't know how to do these exercises, or you want easier or more challenging alternatives, then don't get away, kid, you bother me, and just use the links below the video. But today we're going to do something special. Instead of using the Indian-inspired 12-phase sun salutation to warm up, we're going to explore each exercise in depth as our warm-up. So don't just watch it analytically with your spectacles and your notebook and your pen. Play along with me. It'll be a great warm-up that'll be educating not just your brain, but your body. Because sometimes our body is smarter than our prefrontal cortex. Sometimes our brainstem is smarter than our imagination. Now, if I walk a little stiff today, it's because I have a minor subluxation in my upper thoracic spine. Don't pay that. No, never mind. Okay, so here's the deal. The first exercise I'm going to teach you are the heel-centered squats. If you have any background in fitness or no background in fitness, this is the easiest place to begin. The easiest way to do this is right next to the sofa, because let's face it, we're used to sitting down and getting up out of the sofa. You want your knees to be basically over your heels. This is going to work primarily your biceps femoris, your quads, and your glutes. For this exercise, I recommend having your hands in front of you to act as a counterbalance. And on the out breath, here's how the breathing works. The most natural way to breathe during exercise is to breathe as if your body was an accordion. Yes, an accordion is arguably an obnoxious musical instrument, but it demonstrates the simple fact that when you compress the bellows, the air comes out. Likewise, as we compress our abdomen, as we coil up our body, as we pull in our appendages, it naturally forces air out. So this is the natural style of breathing, which is different from the contrived style of breathing that are taught in most gyms. Hands out, touch your tushy to the sofa, stand back up. So let's do that 3 times. Now you'll be able to notice my hands weren't going up and down. That's because my bookcase was in the way. Your hands can go up and down if you want. So, If that ceases to be a challenge, you don't want to jump on your heels ever. You're not structurally designed to land on your heels without doing major damage to your back. No one wants that. So if you want a greater challenge, set space to do a full squat. Now, it's very likely you'll feel uncomfortable and even scared to do a full squat, but if you set space, eventually, after a week or a month or a quarter or even a year, your body will spontaneously take you lower and lower and lower. That's a very natural thing. Now, don't ask your brain for reasons why you can't do it, because it'll be glad to make shit up. We're designed to go all the way down. And in cultures where squatting is the norm, you see 80-year-olds sitting like this all the time. So it's just a question of acclimation. And in a sufficient length of time, your body will spontaneously remember how to do that. It might scare you at first, but it will not harm you. Okay, so that's the first exercise. Let's do the second exercise. Second exercise is a subtle variation. It's toe-oriented squats. And you might say, hey, you want to jig me? That's a subtle difference. And I'll say, oh, not so much. The body's complex. By shifting our point from the heels to the balls of our feet, we target more of the extensors, our calves, and of course, because we'll be adding eventually a jumping component to this, our cardiopulmonary system. So once again, our tushy is in close proximity to the sofa. Our knees are now over the balls of our feet. Our hands are over our heads, so that we don't get confused between the exercises. We gingerly touch our tuchus to the sofa, and then stand back up. Let's do that 2 more times. When you want a greater challenge, add a jump. And now, jumping is all about the balls of the feet. And that's what really gets the cardiopulmonary system going. When you desire a greater challenge, set space to go all the way down. Now, there's ways to make it even more challenging. There are some people who, for the heel squats, will do a single leg squat. Not a big fan of that. And some people who want to desire a greater challenge for the toe squats will do jumping lunges. Personally, I find those two to be courting injury. And I'd rather use the two-legged exercises, the heel squats and the toe squats. And don't worry. Some people say, but it's too easy for me. Listen, do it as fast as you can. And I assure you, you're going to break a sweat and be out of breath, which is a prime indicator that you're moving your body intensely enough. Because as we discussed in the last video, we're working for, in addition to a caloric burn, in addition to a muscular fatigue, we're looking for a hormonal effect. That's crucial. That hormonal effect is only accessed through intensity of exercise versus duration of exercise. If you don't believe me, look at the body of a sprinter versus the body of a cross-country runner. A sprinter is heavily muscled in their torso, in their core, in their legs. You don't see that type of vitality and joie de vivre in a cross-country runner. The exception would be an Ironman triathlete, but let's face it, that's a different situation. But still, your cutting edge endurance athletes, even triathlete, even Ironman, are going to be slimmer than a sprinter. What we're looking for is the type of hormonal action that, in addition to burning fat, releases human growth hormone and other endorphins, which are not only pleasurable, but they slow healing, and they slow aging, and sometimes arguably even seem to reverse it. So that's what we're going for. Now, if you are an endurance athlete, you can train in both. But for most of us, we can only spare a handful of minutes a day. I cannot recommend strongly enough the Tabata protocol of high-intensity body weight interval training. Let's continue. I'm going to stand right here now and adjust the camera to show you my truly frightening carpet. For the core work, if you're just starting off, a good core exercise is to start off in a push-up position. Now I hope you can see what I want to do is have my point, not with my middle finger, but with my index finger, and bring my elbows in. Okay, so my elbows are in, relatively speaking. So a good beginning core exercise is to walk a leg in, walk the other in, walk a leg out, walk the other out. When that's no longer a challenge, switch to what we call mountain climbers. When that's no longer a challenge, move up to what I call core thrusters. We start off in the push-up position. The majority of the weight is on our hands, not on our feet. Your back will thank you if your weight's over your hands. Pull, use your arms to jump in. And of course, that's when you breathe out because we're compressing the billows. On the in-breath, with the weight over your hands, breathe in. If you're fancy, you can add a twist. And what I like to do is do half twisted and half straight. Because I'm a vain bastard and I want my tummy to look as pretty as possible when I take off my clothes and walk past the mirror on the way to the shower. Now, I've skipped an exercise. By the way, I'll mention that this core thrusting exercise will leave you out of breath. That's good. The jumping squats will leave you out of breath. That's what you want. Between the toe jumping squats and the thrusters, I want you to do the pressing exercises. Let's play with those right now. So the rule is the same. We want our index fingers to be parallel to each other. We want our elbows to be in. If we're just starting off, do knee push-ups. When that ceases to be a challenge, do plank push-ups. When that ceases to be a challenge, do hiking press push-ups. When that ceases to be a challenge, combine the two. Hiking push-ups are my favorite. They work the entire spectrum of pushing muscles. The lower pecs, the upper pecs, the triceps, and both the medial and the anterior deltoids. They also work the trapezius, on your neck and upper back. When this ceases to be a challenge, and that could take a while, you may begin to train in doing a handstand push-up. Once again, you'll want to keep your elbows in and your index fingers parallel. So you start by just getting comfortable with lowering yourself down. Eventually, you'll be able to lower yourself down twice per set, or 3 times per set, or 4 times per set. Eventually, you'll be able to do a positive repetition. And there you'll have it. That could take months or years. There's no There, oopsie. You couldn't see that, could you? Let's try that again. Sorry, folks. So, when you're ready to do a handstand push-up, the first thing you want to do is make sure your index fingers are parallel to each other and your elbows are in. Begin by doing negative repetitions. You kick up into a standing position or a vertical position and lower yourself down and then stop. Eventually you'll be able to do that numerous times per set. Eventually you'll have the strength to do that in a positive motion. The goal, remember, is not to do more and more difficult exercises. That's a trap. The goal is just to have as efficient a workout as possible. So whether your workout is 4 minutes or 8 minutes or 12 minutes, by the time you're done, you are completely out of breath and you're soaking in sweat. That will, I assure you, if you've done properly, work all the joints of your body, work all the muscles of your body, directly work the heart and lungs, and indirectly work all the other organs. We're talking about strength training whose fringe benefits are greater beauty, greater lucidity, greater health, greater longevity. And those are beautiful, beautiful things. If you're a bodybuilder and you want to do this for weight, to gain mass, then you have to realize that there's two different ratios. You either gain strength with the fringe benefit of mass, or you gain mass with the fringe benefit of strength. If your main goal is mass, maybe you're a high school kid and you're preparing for football and you really want that padding on your body, then instead of working your entire body every day, day 1 you work your legs, day 2 you work your pressing, day 3 you work your core, day 5 you work your pulling. I'm sorry, I miscounted. Day 1 you do your legs, day 2 you do your pressing, day 3 you do your core, day 4 you do your pulling, and then you start over again. That sequence will work more, you'll gain more mass than you will strength. Personally, even though I'm a man, even though I have self-esteem, or I want to look good, I'd rather have strength than mass. I've compromised health issues, and I don't want extra weight on my joints, even if that weight comes from muscle. I don't want extra weight on my organs, even if that comes from muscle. I want to be as gentle on my organs and my skeleton as I can, so I emphasize strength rather than mass. And here's the quick tip. If you're trying to look like a mountain of muscle, if you're trying to look like a bodybuilder, then use the bodybuilding paradigm I gave you a few minutes ago, where it's 1 body part per day for a 4-day cycle. That's great. But for most of us who do not dream of appearing on the cover of Muscle and Fitness, we don't really want to look like the Incredible Hulk. Most of us would rather look like Thor, or Spider-Man, or Batman, or Superman, or get back to reality. Most of us would rather look like a hero in a movie, like James Bond, portrayed by Daniel Craig, or Achilles, portrayed by, what's the guy with the jowls, who married Angelina Jolie, you know what I'm talking about. That guy. Anyway. Or, you want to look like the guys from the movie 300. That type of a Spartan body, or a James Bond body, comes from strength, not from mass. So this workout, where we do the same workout every day, 6 to 7 days a week, will work. It'll get you lean, it'll get you strong, it'll get you healthy. I've been cheating death all my life. One of the big reasons I've been successful is because of diet and exercise. Let's continue. The last exercise is the pulling exercise. There's a whole video dedicated to that. So when most of us think about pulling exercises, we think about chin-ups. You get a chin-up bar for about $20 to $25. but most of us don't have the strength to use a chin-up bar. So I recommend using door straps that you can acquire over the internet on Amazon for between $20 to $50. I use these ones right here. I've had them, gosh, for close to 7 years. I'm just delighted with them. They do their job very well. And you might say, hey, that's great, Lama Jigme, and I just placed my order for door straps and a chinning bar and can't wait for them to come. What do I do while I'm waiting? The answer is find a piece of furniture like a desk or a dining room table and gingerly use that. Now I've got a whole tape. See, that's what we'll add. I've got a whole video showing you step by step how to do that. Just be gentle, don't be spazzy, because there is no athletic benefit to actually pulling the table down upon your face. But there's always something you can do. If you can't find a dining room table or a desk and you're waiting for your door straps to come in the mail from Amazon.com, then at the very least you can do what I call you can do what I call horse pulls. So if you're at all familiar with ballet, you just go to the second position and have your knees over your toes, and as rapidly, and have your palms facing the ceiling, and as rapidly as you can, pull them all the way back. So very, very fast. And if you're not a ballerina, tutu, if you're a martial artist, just go to a horse stance. And instead of putting your weight on your heels, put the weight on the balls of your feet. There you go. Now you're in a horse stance. So, or you can do that ridiculous Korean dance. Anyway. And so what you can do is keep your hands in front of you and pull them in as tight and as rapidly as you can. It's very silly, very spazzy. And come close to the camera, and it's going to blur a lot. It's not because I'm a great athlete, but because this is, a little computer camera. So here we go. That might not seem like much, but that's working all your pulling muscles. From here to here, it's working your lats. From here to here, it's working your biceps. So pull as quickly as you can. And if you're going from an outstretched palm to a fist, it's working your gripping muscles too. So it's working all the pulling muscles of your body. Yes, it's spazzy. That's much better than nothing. So, hopefully you feel more comfortable and excited, and hopefully you've been jumping around with me and you're warmed up as well. So what say you, my friends? How's about the workout proper? By the way, when I first was exposed to the Tabata paradigm, I said, screw that. I've been working out for decades. I've been teaching fitness for decades. I'm above such foolishness. But there came a time when I grew dissatisfied with the results I was generating, and quite frankly, due to health problems, I could no longer work out for 2 hours or 90 minutes or 60 minutes or 45 minutes. And then I began to reevaluate the Tabata protocol. And I found some gal on the internet who got fantastic results from following the Tabata protocol. And I used a little timer like this. I think it's called a Gym Boss. You can get it on the website if you want, or you can get a free version on the website if you want. And I was just a slave to the to the timer. And I would work out for 20 seconds and rest for 10 seconds, and I got very, very good results. And it took me about a year to get over my fear, my rigidity, and just to do what I now do, the Tabata protocol, in a more natural and organic way. And now, and that is to incorporate the circuit training principle, which is you just move from one exercise to the next exercise to the next exercise, and give or take a second, it takes approximately 10 seconds to prepare for the next exercise. And there's tremendous freedom in not being a slave to this digital timer. And so that brings us down to the original phrase you've heard me use many times: high intensity body weight interval training. The only way this works is if you push yourself as hard as possible. And the first time you're going to do it, is it going to be perfect? Hell no. But if every time you do it, you have the intention of pushing yourself as safely and as intensely as possible, you'll conclude each session with more sweat and less breath, and that's ideal. Because if you're only going to work out for 4, 8, or 12 minutes, you might as well make it count. Oh boy, here we go. My friends, let's do 5 circuits of 5 exercises each. Let's have some fun. First, heels. First, toes. First press. First thrust. First chin. Second heel. Two. Second toe. Second press. Elbows in. Quick tip. For joint health, please refrain from locking out your limbs. And also for tendon health. Second thrust. Second chin. Welcome to the third circuit. Third heel. third toe. Third press. Third thrust. Third chin. That's the lovely sound of my rice cooker. I used to cook millet, but it still works. Welcome to the fourth circuit. Fourth heel. Fourth toe. Fourth press. Elbows in. Fourth thrust. Fourth chin. And by the way, I throw the words spazzy and retard around, but since I'm brain damaged, I figure I have some license. Oy vey! Welcome to the fifth and final circuit. Yiddish is optional. Fifth heel. Fifth toe. Fifth press. fifth thrust. Fifth, chin. And that concludes this morning's high-intensity bodyweight training, or high-intensity bodyweight interval training. Or jumping around like a crazy caveman. Whichever terminology you find most empowering. Woo! Yeah, what common complaint I have is Loma Jigme, you're either too advanced for me or too wimpy for me. I'm too advanced to use the easier exercises or a shorter workout. I've got workouts as short as 1 minute. If they're too easy, then just do your repetitions faster than me. Well, if you're half as buff as you think you are, perhaps you can do twice as many repetitions as I do. Perhaps you could do 10 heel squats in the time it takes me to do 5. You might say, hey, there's different slow twitch and fast twitch. But I suspect you'll be just fine. Hey, remember those links I told you about below the video? The first link will take you to a page on my website where all the Enlightened video, all the Enlightened fitness videos have been organized. First, they're organized by length of workout. There's a box for 10 minutes, and a box for 1 minute, and a box for 3 minutes. You get the idea. Within each box, they're organized by length of meditation. Meditation is as short as 3 minutes or as long as an hour and a half. I don't care how spiritual you think you are, start off with a 3-minute meditation and work your way up. If you're too spiritual to do that, then you may want to look into the acquisition of greater humility. But the greatest teachers of all spiritual disciplines have each praised humility, flexibility, and courage. No one has ever praised cowardice or arrogance. Except for Bob Hope, because his early films featured cowardice and arrogance and made him a little bit of green. But that's the exception that proves the rule. The last guided meditation I took you on was approximately 30 minutes long. We explored 4 different centering techniques. We explored renunciation and the union of compassion and love, as well as the union of analysis and letting go, not to mention Metta is loving kindness and Vipassana is awareness and letting go. Today we're also going to practice about 30 minutes, but with different content. Today's going to be much easier. Although we're going to start with a relatively analytical version of Metta, and then a relatively analytical version of Vipassana, for the remaining, let's see, gotta do some math, 24 minutes, we'll do simple Metta and simple Vipassana. Of course, I think I did the math wrong, but I hope you'll bear with me. Because if someone told you, oh, it's the smartest guy in the room, ha, you've been duped. But perhaps what I lack in brilliance, I'll make up for it in silliness. Water, beverage of choice. Some people say, hey, water can be dangerous. If you drink too much water, you can burst your gut. And my answer to that is yes, stupidity is still fatal. You can kill yourself using anything if you're really determined. Woo! So, schwitzy, out of breath, good workout. Schwitzy, of course, being Yiddish for sweaty. It's funny, in America, many white people can get snobby and say eubonics or the death of the English language, and it's just gutter talk. But the funny thing is, Yiddish began as German Jewish gutter talk, German slang. One time I was hanging out with a couple of German nationals who were visiting California on vacation, and I said the word schwitzy, and they just lost their minds laughing. They thought it was the funniest thing. Please sit erect and find a sitting position that's comfortable using the sitting guide that's located below the videos. Okay, we're going to begin with the analytical Metta that intends to lavish all living beings with great wisdom. Left hand palm up in lap, right hand palm up in left, thumbs do not touch each other. How wise good, releasing. How wise feel, releasing. Now to me, give wisdom. Why give wise? Releasing. How are all more than me? Whoops, my mistake. Got off the wrong foot. Let's try this again. Now to some give wisdom. How are all more than me? Now to all give wisdom. How could each be kind mom? Now to each give wisdom. Now, let's play with the analytical version of Vipassana. In the ancient Theravada commentaries to the Not Self Sutta, I have trouble pronouncing that word in Pali. They talk about human experience or human sense of self being attached to the idea of a body, or being attached to the idea of mind, or being attached to the idea of me, I. So today we're going to play with body. We're going to abbreviate the word body into one syllable and call it bod. How is bod? Dependent. Although the Mahayana and many of the Tantric Buddhists focus on no-self, in the Theravadan circles they focus on not-self, which is entirely different. So we're just going exploring how this thing we call our body that we cherish and is really quite ungraspable. For it has nothing, is comprised of nothing separate to grasp. It's full of interconnection. Now we're going to explore how our body is full of change and therefore empty of anything permanent to grasp. How could bod always change? In the book, Your Body, a User's Guide, as well as the book for Life, they did a wonderful job about talking about how frequently we get a new body. With the exception of scar tissue, which is dead, we shed cells every day. Some cells we shed every day, some organs are replaced in less than a month, other organs are replaced in less than 7 years. grammatically, in every language that has language, we often play games with the idea of me, or I, or self. And sometimes it's useful to remember that me, or I, or self is just a convention, it's just a tool of convenience, it's not set in stone. And so to loosen up, to shake loose of preconceptions, we can play with the seemingly irrational question, how could God not be me? Yes, 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 we just talked about vanity and pride and being healthy and beautiful. But it's useful not to take our bodies, even our pretty bodies or our flabby bodies, not too seriously. Hence the next exercise is, how could God be funny? Grin with lips, releasing. And now our old standby, noticing, relaxing. Now we could play with the concise version, which is simply this, ease. All the analytical contemplation was a fun way to warm up our hearts and minds. Now let's just revert for the remainder of this meditation session to simple and easy metta and simple and easy vipassana. That's right, folks. No more mental gymnastics. To any of the folks who may be watching or listening who are prone to perfectionistic tendencies, I remind you of my favorite conversation. Hey, Lama Jigme! I'm scared I won't do it perfect. Don't worry me from the past. You won't. You won't do it perfect. Our job is not to do it perfect. Our job is to do our best, learn, make distinctions, and subtly improve. That's it. Simple metta that intends to lavish everyone with peace. How peace good? Releasing. How peace feel? Releasing. Now to me, give great peace. Now to some, give great peace. Now to all, give great peace. Now to each, give great peace. Each peace. What's seeing really seeing? What hearing really seeing? What feeling really seeing? How could this be funny? Red with cheeks really seeing. Noticing, relaxing. This ease. Let's return to simple metta. How love good, releasing. Remember, please don't judge yourself by how active or passive your mind is. A peaceful mind is not an achievement. A creative mind is not an indictment. The mind does those things. Just work with it. Just work with it. Either way. It's the correct technique. Samadhi is inevitable. It is merely a question of time and habits. How love feel, releasing. Give to me love for all. Give to some love for all. Give to all love for each. Give to each love for all. Each love. Simple vipassana. What seeing, releasing. What hearing, releasing. What feeling releasing? How could this be funny? Grin with eyes releasing. Noticing, relaxing. This ease. Easy metta. How joy good, releasing. How joy feel, releasing. Now to me, give great joy. Now to some, give great joy. Now to all, give great joy. Now to each, give great joy. Each, joy. Simple vipassana, what's seeing really seeing? What hearing really seeing? What feeling really seeing? How could this be funny? Grin with lips, releasing. Noticing, relaxing. this ease. Let's take a moment to play with fear. Now, that sounds kind of weird, but some people may feel an unpleasant emotion. They hide from it and run from it, or declare war on it, or just ignore it, or just indulge it. But if we're smart, and if we're armed with strong techniques, we can play with it and use its energy to feed our compassion and our wisdom. So let's use tone then's union of compassion and love to help tame fear. How could each be kind mom? Why take fear as black smoke? How are all more than me? Why give peace as white light? In through nose, out through pores. Take fear smoke, give peace light. Fear, peace. If this is confusing to you, go back to the last lesson. For our last set, we're going to play with analytical vipassana. How is fear dependent? How could fear never last? How could fear not be me? Come, let us whistle past the graveyard. How could fear be funny? This ease. That concludes this morning's 30 minutes guided meditation. Now, yes, this was dramatically different from yesterday's or the previous guided meditation. And so you can see, hopefully, how it can be an advantage, it can be to our advantage to have, metaphorically speaking, a shed full of tools. And we're comfortable with the tools, we know how to use them, and when different needs manifest, we just reach for the right tool and use it. That's why some teachers stick with a minimum of easy techniques, and it creates in people a sense of mastery rapidly. But that mastery is a bit of a paper lion. I'd keep people on their toes, make sure they have the tools I need to deal with the crap that can manifest in our lives, because it's never a question of if the fit is going to hit the shan. It's simply a question of when. I invite you to join me for a gentle set of geriatric yoga entitled Untying the Heart's Knots. Please sit erect and lace your hands behind your tush, open your chest, and twist to the left. While I give ones, releasing. Please reverse now to each, give wisdom. Back to center. Please release your hands. Join them in your lap. Swing your hands out and overhead. Please bend to the right. When I give peace, releasing. Please reverse and each give great peace. Back to the center. By the way, something that struck me as amusing. So there is a gal on YouTube who uses what's it called? The Tabata training protocol. At least she did for a long time until she just simplified it on down, and much the way I did. And I'm not gonna. She had at the height of her popularity, before she went her separate way from her boyfriend, who was also her business partner. She had a huge number of people who had watched her videos, so much so that her techniques actually found their way into major motion pictures made in foreign lands. I kid you not, the second or the third installment of the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo trilogy featured the protagonist using many of the Tabata exercise popularized by that gal on YouTube in her prison cell, which was very, very cool. So this stuff works. High intensity body weight interval training really, really works. Because most certainly Swedish film wouldn't lie to us now, would it? Okay, so let's make our way into the downward facing fetal position, also known as child's pose. Give to each, love for all. And of course, swing into the seated samurai position. The reason I'm not too keen on promoting this gal's YouTube channel is simply because she's gotten away from using body weight fitness. For a long time, her business partner influenced her to use lots and lots of equipment, because there's lots of money to be made as an affiliate. You know, having people buy pieces of equipment that cost $100 or $150 and stuff like that. After she and her former business partner went their separate ways, she didn't use entirely body weight fitness. She started using weights and stuff like that, and props and stuff like that. And I try to get people away from that. It's been my experience, the more equipment you use, the more excuses you have not to practice. For instance, the door straps you can take with you in a hotel room, so you can, wherever you are, you can work out. You know, and even if you don't have the straps, you can use that silly horse pulling exercise I taught you. So it's been my experience that equipment free is excuse free. I've been training people for more than 30 years. And I've seen time and again that people have a genius-like capacity to find reasons not to practice. So a short, efficient, equipment-free practice is the easiest way to avoid excuses. And of course, if your practice is releasing massive amounts of endorphins, you're going to have a neurochemical motivation to keep working out as well. Now, enough of this jibber-jabbering. Let's continue with the geriatric yoga. When it comes to fitness, don't get me started. Please place your hands behind your tuchus. Please open your chest, drop your head, roll your gaze up. What seeing, releasing. What hearing, releasing. What feeling, releasing. So I'm thinking about that gal once again who has whose videos can be now seen on two very popular YouTube channels, and I feel very bad for her. And this will most likely offend a certain percentage of my audience. I apologize. I got to be real and honest. This is a gal for various reasons. I think it's because of her former sweetheart. She was influenced to get breast implants, which I think is a shame. Which I think is a tragedy, because there are different body types. There's no one type that's beautiful. There are different proportions. Some people are naturally bean poles, and there are some people who find bean poles to be exquisite. Some people have a naturally athletic physique. Some people are naturally voluptuous. For every body type, there's a fan. Now, I'm not talking about a pathology. Some people are, clinically morbidly obese, and I'm not saying they don't deserve love. I'm just saying it's bad for them. It's bad for their brain. It's bad for their heart. It's bad for their organs. It's bad for their joints. It multiplies the sufferings in their life. But I'm saying for every healthy body type, and there are several, there are many, at least 3, but most likely more, there are people who are just hardwired to love that. Some people are hardwired to love brunettes. Some people are hardwired to love redheads. Some people are hardwired to love blondes. Some people are hardwired to love people with straight hair. Some people are hardwired to love people with curly hair. Some people are hardwired to love people with wavy hair. Some people, are hardwired to love people with blue eyes, be really attracted to people with brown eyes. Some people, are attracted to pug noses, or aquiline noses, or hawk noses, or round Semitic noses, or you name it. For every type, there's someone who is just hardwired to be attracted to that type. When they see that person, I kid you not, they drool. And of course, I said drool, and now I'm drooling because I'm hypersuggestible. But who we are, our best us. Because let's face it, no amount of push-ups is going to make your breasts bigger or smaller, breasts or breasts. No amount of chin-ups is going to change the shape of your nose, or change your hair follicles, or change the way your face looks. Brad Pitt, that's the guy I was thinking about before from the movie Troy. Anyway, we all have certain genetic or racial markers, and embrace those. We don't each have. We're not supposed to be clones. We're not supposed to look alike. And this is not some feel-good philosophy. This is science. Variety is crucial to the survival of a species. That's why when stupid white people run around with, big agro or factory farming, and they say we only need one type of corn, we only need one type of cow. Malarkey. Nature, a whole lot smarter than us. Nature seems to think we need many types of cows and many types of corn and many types of grain and many types of fruit and a ridiculous number of apples. Nature. Well, let's geek out and refer to Star Trek: The Original Series. There's a Vulcan philosophy that says infinite diversity and infinite combination, and we see that in the natural world all around us. When nature's at its best and people are at their healthiest, we don't all look the same. There are different body types, there are different facial types, there are different hair types. That's good. There's a mistake people think that they should just live in their midbrain or just live in their forebrain. No, we have 3 brains, a brainstem, a midbrain, and a forebrain. And the healthiest people, the happiest people, have reconciled all 3. If we are drawn to a certain type and we ignore that type, if we deliberately settle for a partner that we're not attracted to intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, physically, or sexually, or recreationally, or creatively, or ethically, we are just dooming ourselves to an unsuccessful relationship and real unhappiness. It's better to be alone than with the wrong person. No one has to settle to be with us. We are someone's zenith. We are someone's ideal of beauty and attraction. There was a short-lived show, I think it only lasted 1 or 2 episodes. It starred this pretty funny blonde girl from MTV. Maybe someone knows her name, remembers her name, can write down in the comments. But in this wonderful skit she did, there's this really tall, fat, charmless male boy who's just in love with this pretty blonde file clerk. And, he tries to make contact with her, and she just stares back. She doesn't even talk back to him. And so, everyone thinks in the audience, oh, this guy's deluded, this girl doesn't like him, he's just, he wants the unattainable girl. And this guy's thinking to himself, oh yeah, she wants me. Well, you get back, in the next scene, it's that blonde girl's home, and she's on the phone saying, oh my God, he actually looked at me, I can't believe it. And then she gets off the phone, and she's before an altar, and she's trying to manifest a male boy. And she's like, come to me, male boy! And then, of course, because it's a comedy, outside the window there's a male boy watching going, oh yeah, she wants me. And of course, this is ludicrous, and it's not reality-based, but it's a wonderful... starts with an H. What's the word? Well, it's a wonderful exaggeration that proves the point that for everyone is at least one person's dream boy or dream girl. So we don't need cosmetic surgery. So I told you before that this wonderful gal on YouTube went separate ways with her former sweetheart, who was also a business partner. Her sweetheart is still making videos, and he has a new fitness model. And this fitness model, and this kind of creeps me out personally, he started remaking her into his ideal. She had breast implants, and she had facial, what's it called, plastic surgery. And bless their hearts, plastic surgeons know more about beauty and medicine than I do. But with the exception of a burn victim, a trauma victim, or a birth defect victim, I've never seen someone really improved. 9 times out of 10, I haven't seen people improved by cosmetic surgery. Because it's our little teeny flaws that make us beautiful. No one's face is supposed to be perfectly symmetric. You try telling that to a plastic surgeon. So I saw the new fitness model become this grotesque parody of 20th century beauty, or the 20th century beauty ideal. And it was very, very sad to see. And so for me personally, we're all different. We have different facial structures, hair structures, eyes. We have different breasts. If you're girls, we have different body types. If you're a man, there's different penis sizes. And I'm a tantric teacher. I'll be very honest. One size does not fit all. Some people prefer it smaller. Some people prefer it larger. Whatever your penis size, there's a woman out there who really thinks that's awesome. And they're not settling. And same thing for gals. Gals, no matter the shape of your ass, there's a guy out there who likes that ass shape. Or whatever the size of your breast. There's a guy out there who loves that breast shape. And I don't want to discriminate against, the gays, lesbians, and bisexuals, whoever you're attracted to, whatever gender you're attracted to, there's at least one person on earth who thinks you are their goddess or their god. And so we don't have to be beautiful, we don't have to change our face or our hair or our eyes or our breasts or our penises or our asses. All we have to do is be the best, healthiest, optimal we can be. There's nothing wrong with being your best intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, ethically, athletically, physically. Be sane, be gentle, you'll be glad you did. Somebody stop me before I rant again. But no, I've got a lot of complaints on my YouTube, not my YouTube, what's it called? My Facebook channel entitled Get the Body of a Tantric Sex God, because a lot of people write nasty comments about the women who obviously have breast implants. And so I'm just putting out there, I'm not a big fan of breast implants. For some people, it's crucial to their self-esteem, and if you've already got them, I have no intention of shaming you. If I have hurt your feelings, please accept my apology. That's not my intention. I'm just telling you that in somebody's eyes, you're already beautiful. Even if you are out of shape, even if you're addicted to unhealthy substances, even if you're a hot mess, you're someone's ideal dream lover. I suggest not being a hot mess because you'll be happier, you'll be healthier, you'll live longer and more productively if you're not a hot mess. But even if you are, there's someone out there who's looking at you thinking to themselves, oh, I could really go for some of that right now. So, please cup your palms, push your hands together gently so the center of the palms are before the upper third of your chest. Please use your hands to twist to the left. Wait, first relax your shoulders down, now twist to the left. While I give joy, releasing. Please reverse, shoulders down. Turn around. I should say turn to the right. While I give joy, releasing. Twice in my life, I've fallen in love, or at least deep infatuation, with clinically morbidly obese women. Not because I was attracted to their bodies, because I was attracted to her sense of humor. I'm kind of a laughter slut, and if a girl can make me laugh, I'm pretty much hers. And number two, I was attracted to her mind. She had a cunning intellect, keen intellect, like a steel trap, which I think is very, very beautiful. What I think is also beautiful is healthy ambition, the one that says, I want to grow and evolve and move to my healthiest, better, higher self. You know, not in a sick, neurotic way, but in a healthy way. And I want to be my fittest. I want to be my healthiest. You know, that's always learning to grow and striving to grow. Like a leaf on a tree, a leaf on a shrub, it strains to follow the angle of the sun as it arcs through the sky. It aches and strains to find the optimal angle of sunlight to leaf so that it can be its best and its healthiest. That's attractive to me. So I have been attracted to women's sense of humor, and I even married a gal who was clinically obese, morbidly obese, but I've also found as attractive is that, well, living with a morbidly obese gal, she was in pain. Her joints were in pain. Her organs were burdened by the preponderance of her weight. And that doesn't make her a bad person, but it makes her suffer. That cuts her off from the joie de vivre, the joy of life. And I don't on anybody. So I hope I don't come across as a fat hater. God knows I've been fat. But I just know that life is easier when you pursue a path of health. I'm not a fan of surgical solutions at all. I'm not a fan of stomach stapling, not a fan of fat sucking. I'm a fan of eating right beverages, eating the right foods, exercising the right, easy, fun, convenient way that is pleasurable and fun and healing. I think everything should be fun and pleasurable. It's been my experience that everything can be. That intellectual growth, spiritual growth, emotional evolution can be fun and pleasurable. You know, that education can be fun and pleasurable. You know, that meditation can be fun and pleasurable. My friends, life is short. There's this wonderful line from Lois and Clark, and I'm going to paraphrase it. It goes something like, life is short, eat dessert. In other words, life is short, have fun, find pleasure. Hopefully non-destructive pleasures. But, you know, be good to ourselves. If you're going to exercise, find a way of exercising that's fun and fills you with endorphins. If you're going to eat, find foods that that support your immune system and your lucidity and your emotional stability while making your tongue happy at the same time. If you're going to make love, find ways of making love that are pleasurable and that meet your needs and your partner's needs. You know, physically, sexually, emotionally, and even spiritually. Yes, my friend, there's a way of taking, just like alchemists strove to transform lead into gold, we can take our sexual pleasure and use that to empower our love, our universal love, not just love for our partner, which is also good, and also our wisdom of letting go. So everything that we want can be used in a great way. What's that? For speed freak, well, you can increase your energy without using poisonous amphetamines. What's that? You like downers, you like barbiturates, you can be mellow without poisoning your body or your brain. What's that? You like pleasure? Great. Then have sex in a way that is healthy and good for you, because there are ways to do virtually anything in a healthy, healing, evolutionarily oriented way. Let's stand up. Oh gosh. Oh boy, my legs fell asleep. Oh. Okay, weight on the balls of the feet, major and minor ball of the feet. Subtle bend in the knees, hips thrust forward, hands laced behind the tuchus. Open the chest, drop the head, roll the gaze up. How could this be funny? Grin with eyes, releasing. Noticing, relaxing. Okay. Woo! The next 3 verbal recitations can be found in the free PDF entitled First Set of Lesson Texts, which you can download for free from the page, linked page below the video named Class Materials. Let's perform, my feet are tingling. Let's perform Indian Inspired 12 Phase Sun Salutation. By this virtue may I now accomplish the spontaneous, habitual, easy, and effective mastery of Buddhist mental yogas, of devotion, awareness, love, and letting go. And now lead every living being, without exception, to this room. Now, by the way, there's nothing wrong with turning a profit, but there's a way of turning a profit. I like to feel there's a way of turning a profit without hurting anybody. If you're a corporation, you can turn a profit without hurting your shareholders or your employees or your customers or the environment. There is a way to always find a win-win-win-win-win situation. So I was talking about that gal on the internet, on YouTube, who started using equipment because her business partner found it more profitable. There's someone else on the internet on YouTube who sells nothing. He just gives free advice. But so many people subscribe to him, and so many people watch his videos that he makes tons of money, or at least enough money to live comfortably without giving anything but free advice, which is awesome. So that proves we don't have to be predatory. We don't have to compromise people's athletic strategies or weight loss strategies for the sake of our bottom line. We can make a healthy living while offering nothing other than free advice. And I love that. What an exciting way to live. You know, to walk the earth in kindness. How nice is that? Let's continue with our second repetition. May everyone be healthy, wealthy, and happy. May everyone practice skillfully and joyfully. Accomplished and resilient in this life. And then how many others do likewise. For truly that is the meaning of life. Om Mani Padme Hum. Some people say, hey, Lama Jigme, you're a Buddhist monk who's barely keeping himself fed and housed. Why don't you do that? The answer is, I'm not a marketing mastermind. I'm a crippled monk who's doing his best, teaching and practicing and healing and all that kind of good stuff. If any of you want to market my YouTube channels, contact me on Facebook. Let me know. That'd be great. Let's continue. Let's now perform 2 repetitions of Vietnamese-inspired bounds. Oops, got all excited there. Let's try that again. May I always be cared for throughout all my lives by the Buddha of compassion emanating as my kind teacher. And as such may I always enthusiastically and joyfully tread this excellent path praised by the conquerors. And yes, that noise was my knee. My friends, I thank you for your time and your kind attention. I thank you for your enthusiasm to be your best, both physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and for meditating at least twice a day, every day. I also thank you for your support. May you and yours be healthy and happy. Om Mani Padme Hum. Before I go, I'd be remiss if I did not invite you to click the subscribe button or the like button as well as the share button. Now, remember those links I told you about below the video? You could use one of those links to help keep this monk fed, which is lovely, but not mandatory. There's also a link that you could use to register for the next series of live weekly webinars. When do they begin? Monday, the 6th of May. Let's see then. Now, before you go, if you've subscribed, be sure to, go over here. There's a button way over there. It's a YouTube button. It'll take you to your home page towards the bottom left-hand corner. You'll notice a little tab that reads Manage Subscriptions. Click that. Look up either Lama Jigme or look up Tantric Sex God 1. To the right, there'll be a box. If you check that, you'll be notified by email when I upload my next video. There you go. Bye-bye.